You're listening to the Marne Report.
Hey, Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield. We're back with another edition of the Marne Report with your host, Brian Lund. Today, I'm joined by a few special guests. To my right, I have Joseph Cooper, the photography at Fort Stewart, and I have Dr. Terry Duncan, the Army Substance Abuse Program Specialist here at Hunter Army Airfield. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, and how are you?
Well, it's good to have you this morning. I'm doing great as well. How you doing, Joseph?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be here.
So today, we're going to be talking about all things ASAP, all things alcohol awareness. April, as you know, is Alcohol Awareness Month. So to begin with, what is ASAP and what is your role being an ASAP specialist?
So as the ASAP specialist, my role is prevention education. It's all about harm reduction. We never tell anybody you shouldn't drink unless you're under 21. Then you're not supposed to drink. But as long as you're a legal adult, you can drink alcohol. Alcohol is a recreational drug. It's the only one that has federal employees and active duty that we are allowed to use. And that's what we do. We educate on alcohol. We also educate, and that's the main thing because it is April Alcohol Awareness Month. But we do anything related to abuse, anything that can get people into trouble. We try to help minimize that so people don't get in trouble or die or cause harm to their families.
Yeah, so for our next question, you were talking about the education portion of this. Would you consider this a standardized program, or do you kind of tie it to the individuals?
We tie it to the individuals. There is some elements that are standardized. The information, the research is definitely standardized. We don't make that up, but we definitely tie it to the age, the gender, the group that we're talking to, and even the unit, depending on what they do for their mission, we'll tie it to that to make it real. We want people to relate to what we're saying so that they can work it into their lives and fit it so that they can be healthy and still enjoy having a cocktail every now and then.
Yes, and that's so important, making sure that we stay healthy and that we don't really demonize these things rather than just show people a safe way to do it. So how do you believe that you are addressing the negative stigmas for people that are seeking help?
I focus on the fact that there is a lot of help. Whether you're a civilian or active duty, there is a lot of help on Hunter and Fort Stewart and in the community. The counselors at SUD-C, I know they get a bad rap, but they are here to help. Mental health in general is here to help. Many of your senior leaders go regularly to just check in with a counselor, and they will often tell soldiers that. I've heard them myself. But the idea is that there's help. There's your military family life counselors that are embedded in the units. There's the chaplains that are there to help you. The ACS, Army Community Service, they have lots of resources. And of course, we are here to help educate. We can do safety briefings, short-term, long-term. We do large briefings and also lengthwise. We adjust it. So there is a lot of help. And if you don't take advantage of it, you're really selling yourself short because it's important, not just for your career, but even your family and your future goals.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like you guys have a very wide array of resources available to not only the soldiers, but the family members as well. What is the success rate of these programs, and what does that kind of look like going into the aftermath of these things?
Well, I can't say as far as Hunter. My anecdotal evidence is that it does help. But research does show that whenever you do prevention education, it does lower the amount of incidences. A lot of people just don't know. They don't realize how much a drink is. They may hear that you're only supposed to have one or two, but how much is that? And we show them that it's a lot less than you think it is. So we make people aware. We make them aware that it's not always how you feel, because people know what it's like to get drunk, but that you're impaired even when you don't feel it. And we educate them on that. And things that you shouldn't do when you're drinking. Don't make any major decisions. If you're angry, you shouldn't drink because you're just going to get angrier. Because alcohol in particular is a depressant. So as a depressant, it lowers your inhibitions, which is why we like to drink. Because we can get up and do karaoke, we can dance easier, we're not as nervous, we can talk to people if we're interested in the club. But it can also get you in trouble. If you're depressed, it'll make it worse. If you're angry, it'll make it worse. If you are lonely, you will feel lonelier. If you're anxious, it'll make you more anxious. It doesn't help if you're having problems. And that's what we focus on, is harm reduction, making things better, safer, so that you don't hurt yourself or hurt us, because I don't want you driving when you're under the influence. That is not good for any of us.
Yes. So for this program, what does this specifically look like? Is this a group program, or is it like individual one-on-one counseling? How do these people come to you, and how does this actual program look for these people coming in?
ASAP is all about outreach and education. We are not counselors in this position. Some of us may have education, but that's not what we do. That is SUDC and mental health. They are the counselors.
Gotcha.
We're your MFLAGs, but we are education. That is our total focus. Now, will we talk to soldiers? Yes, but we always refer them to the people that they're supposed to talk to. We will give information. We can clarify. If somebody has a question about, well, what if this? We are more than happy to do that. But we are all about education and information.
Got you. So where can these people find you at?
So I am in building 1283 on Hunter Army Airfield, and I am right across the street from the Child Care Center, right next to the movie theater, right behind ACS. We're the ones that if you drive by, I'm parked on the grass, which I know some people say I shouldn't, but I've never gotten in trouble for it. Hopefully I won't now. But I'm parked on the grass, and you are more than welcome to knock on the door, ring the bell, and we will be happy to have a conversation.
Yeah, it just means they can't miss you.
Exactly. And I don't want them to miss me. I want everyone to be able to find me.
Exactly. Well, it's been great to hear all of this. We're going to cut to a small break, but guys, don't go anywhere. There's much more to come.
If you or someone you know needs crisis support, dial 988. This 3-digit dialing code connects directly to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, where compassionate, accessible care and support is available for anyone experiencing mental health-related distress. The 988 Lifeline helps thousands of people struggling to overcome suicidal crises or mental health-related distress every day. There is hope. Call or text 988 today.
And we're back. Before we left, we discussed a lot about the ASAP program and its importance. Now I believe we should talk about alcohol awareness more specifically. So as we talked about a little bit earlier, April is Alcohol Awareness Month. How does ASAP not only raise awareness and understanding during April, but year-round?
Our mission is to raise awareness. So that's really simple. So what we do is we go out to the units, we do safety briefings, we do presentations, we do classes, and we talk about how to use alcohol in a safe manner. Now, I'm not saying that everyone has to drink. It's never wrong to say you don't want to drink. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you choose to drink, as long as you're over 21, and it is illegal to serve somebody who's under 21 if you're an adult. So don't do it, even if they're your friend. But when you do it, you have to recognize that alcohol is a drug. It's the one drug that we're allowed to use legally, and I already mentioned that earlier, as active duty or federal employees. We are not allowed to use any other drugs. So no CBD, no marijuana, nothing. Even if you move to a state where it's legal. But alcohol we can use, and we can use it appropriately. That is the key, is using it appropriately. You should never drive, even after you have one drink for the typical man will raise their blood alcohol to 0.02. For the typical woman, it's about 0.25, 0.3. And that is, you are impaired, even after having one drink. Think about when you have had a drink. It makes you relax. That's the point. That's why we do it, why we enjoy it, because we can sit back, relax, and have that glass of wine, that beer, that margarita, which is my favorite. We can enjoy it, and we can be safe. But when you get in a car, you're putting yourself and other people at risk, and it just isn't worth it. In the state of Georgia, in particular, we know that the law says 0.08, but they have a law that says if you have any alcohol in your system at all, and if you are stopped or you do an unsafe act, you could get a DUI, even if it's 0.02. If you run a stop sign, stoplight, go over the yellow line, improper turn, anything that would cause a police officer to stop you, and if they realize that you have alcohol in your system, you could get a DUI, whereas somebody else would get a ticket. And ticket's a lot cheaper and a lot easier to deal with than a DUI. Then as far as education, we want people to understand what that drink is. How much are you drinking? And also what can happen if you drink too much. We're all at risk of becoming addicted or dependent. Now, people who have family members who are addicted or have been, they have a genetic predisposition, just like cancer and just like heart disease. It doesn't mean that you are going to become an alcoholic. It doesn't mean that you're going to have problems and that you can't drink in a safe way. You just need to be aware of it, just like you would for any other medical problem. And it's a lifestyle. Those three are lifestyle diseases. So you need to understand that how much you're drinking, and then to look at how often you're drinking. That's what causes you to become an alcoholic. All of us, our tolerance will go up the more we drink. So then we need more to get that same warm, fuzzy feeling. And then when we start drinking more and more and more, and then it becomes a problem. Some people use alcohol to help them go to sleep. And then when you do that, yes, it will help you fall asleep faster, but it will interfere with your REM sleep, the part that makes you feel rested. So you'll wake up feeling tired, and then you have to go through your day and you're still tired, and then you repeat the cycle because you're so tired and you're worried about the next day. Maybe you have a lot going on at work or in your family, and it just makes things a lot worse. And being tired is almost like being hungover. You can't think straight, you can't do your tasks as quickly, and it's hard to remember things. So then it becomes more anxiety-ridden day, and then we want to drink more because it helps us make us feel better. The better thing to do would be to go get help. Go talk to somebody. Talk to your chaplain. I know I didn't mention them earlier. Talk to your chaplain. They're always a resource. The MFLAC, they're all embedded, and they don't keep notes. So if you're worried about somebody finding out, then you should talk to them. But even if somebody keeps notes, it's not a stigma to go and get help. It's much better than the alternative, because you could become addicted or dependent, and then that will get you into more trouble.
Absolutely. We've covered a lot of really vital facts today. And kind of on the flip side of that, what are some of the misconceptions that you've seen about alcohol as it pertains to health, the individual, or even going into the effects it can have on family members?
One of the biggest thing is I hear a lot of soldiers will tell me, well, I only drink on the weekend, so I don't have a problem. Well, that's not necessarily true. What I always point out is, how much are you drinking on the weekend? Because you can still be addicted. You can still be dependent. Can you drink on the weekend and only have one or two? If you can do that, then you're probably fine. If you can't, and oftentimes people don't, obviously, they drink a lot on the weekends and then they don't during the week. But if you can't stop after one or two, or don't want to stop, even if you really think that you need to, then you probably have a problem. If you can't stop at all, then you are most likely addicted. And that is a severe problem. We don't want anybody to become addicted to anything, because it makes life really hard. Because then you have to worry about, if you ever have to have a medical procedure, then it would be difficult to take pain meds. If you ever have to have a dental procedure, a lot of times they give you pain meds just to get through it, and you might have to worry about whether or not you can take those. It just makes things a lot worse. On the family members, it doesn't cause domestic violence or child abuse, but what it can do is it can raise the level of violence, because remember, alcohol is a depressant. It relaxes us. It lowers our inhibitions, and we don't think it's clear. We're not using our higher brain functions to make decisions. So in a domestic violence situation, things may be volatile already, but maybe the person just punches a hole in the wall when they're not drinking. But then when they start drinking, then we're more angry and our reasoning faculties are not as clear. So then we might actually bring out weapons. And that's oftentimes when the police are called. Now, as far as with child abuse and neglect, we're drinking so much we don't hear the baby crying. Somebody should always be sober when there's a baby or a young child, because you might have to take them to the hospital, or you might drop them because you've drank too much. None of those things are something that anybody wants to do, but they do happen. And of course, if children witness people drinking and domestic violence, then that is also considered child abuse. So there's a lot that can happen. It impacts your finances. Alcohol is expensive, so you spend a lot of money on it, and you don't realize what you're doing. Drunk texting, I see that a lot. People saying things, and then the next day they're like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. And then they get into trouble with that. So those kind of things can definitely impact relationships.
Thank you for that, because I think that is a reality that a lot of people need to know. And it's a scary reality that alcohol can have on somebody. So to that point, what do you believe are healthy habits that you can tell soldiers or people out there with drinking?
As far as drinking, you are allowed to drink. That is, as I said, if you're over 21, what you need to do is look at how much you're drinking. We have standards. Standards are out in the world of alcohol prevention, problem prevention. It's 1 to 2 drinks every day. If you want to drink 1 to 2 drinks every day of your life, you can. You don't want to get intoxicated. Now, I know a lot of people out there going, what? Never get drunk again? Yeah, because when you get drunk, that is when people have problems. You can fall down the stairs, fall up a balcony. We have seen that. So when you want to look at it is the amount that you're drinking and how often that you are doing it, because that is how you become dependent and addicted, is frequency and quantity. Because if you only have the same amount, 1 to 2, never more than 3, then your tolerance is not going to go up. But the more you drink, your tolerance goes up. It's just like when you work out. If you're lifting weights, your tolerance for the weight goes up. And then that's the things you have to think about. The other part for health is that there's a lot of recent research that talks about sleep, how it really impacts, and I already mentioned that, it impacts your sleep, the quality, and also if you exercise, if you're a weightlifter or you're training for a marathon or a triathlon, when you drink, even if you drink low risk amounts after working out, you pretty much negated the gains that you've made. Somehow the chemical biology, I can't get into all that now, it interferes with it, so you've wasted your time by exercising. So keep all of that in mind and just respect the alcohol and enjoy it when you can.
Absolutely. And I think it's important that you made a very great distinction there between alcohol prevention and alcohol problem prevention, because that's what you guys are really about.
Exactly. That is what we are about.
Yeah. And to kind of wrap everything up here, is there anything else you would like to add? Anything that we didn't exactly hit on or that you really think the soldiers should go home with on this?
Just remember that alcohol is not a problem, but it can be a problem if you don't do it in the right situations, the right environment. I suggest that everybody, when you go to the club, take the money that you want to spend, because you can get carried away and spend too much. Take Uber. That is a big one for me. Uber, and there is a program on Post, on Stewart and Hunter, where the drunk driving prevention program, and they will come and get you and your car. But if you don't want to do that, then take Uber to the club and Uber home. It's a lot cheaper than a DUI. DUIs can cost up to $20,000 or more, and will damage your career and your reputation, and you will feel terrible if you hurt someone or yourself. So I strongly would recommend don't drink and drive at all. Always, even if you have one drink, find another way to get there and home.
Yes, it's not worth that at all. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today, Dr. Terry Duncan, and my co-host, Joseph. Thank you so much. That concludes another edition of the Marne Report. See you guys next week.
Thank you.
All right. The Digital Garrison app is your one-stop source for all things Fort Stewart Hunter Army Airfield. With the DG at your fingertips, you'll never miss out on upcoming events, installation updates, facility and gate information, weather, shopping, and so much more. Digital Garrison is free from your phone's app store. Download today.